Hello, it's Thursday again. I'm in my nice bright upstairs space, although I'm realizing that you can kind of see reflections of the light in my glasses. But, you know, the alternative is standing here with it being a little dark. So as I am doing the reveal of the spring seasons, I thought having a little bit of brightness was preferable so you could see what was going on. Now, anyone who is in our season spring club, you'll know that we've had a big reveal. I sent an email out to you and you know what all the patterns are for this particular season installment. The yarn has been delivered over the last few days, but it may still take a few days in certain spots depending on where you are in the world. Hey, nice to see you back, everyone. So these are the 3 different yarn colors that arrived out in the post, and these are all from Life in the Long Grass, and it's their earth yarn. And as you can see, they're 3 shades of green. And when we picked them, it was dead in the middle of winter, and it didn't really feel like it was ever going to be spring again. And so the colors, to a certain extent, it felt a little bit like wishful thinking, like we were trying to will it to be spring when we picked the colors. But now that we've sent them out and we're looking at them, it feels perfect, because particularly this bright colorway, it's actually almost identical to the tips of those buds that are coming out this time of year. If I bring it around my garden, and in fact some of the pattern photographs, if you take a look at, this is spot on. It seems bright, but in springtime, like a lot of those buds that come out are like this bright green. I actually love it. I'm very into bright colors at this time of year. I think that it just makes me feel alive, awake. I brought my Stash Dive sweater out, which is bright, colorful, from a couple of years ago. And it just makes me feel very awake. So we'll have a quick look at the colors again. This one, oh, there's a bit of a tint in this one, but this is the seasonal green, which is in the middle of the road. Really, really nice looking green. A really good rich green color. This is our brights, which is a lovely, lovely, bright, vibrant green. And this is the subtle, which is a little bit more on the khaki and the darker green side. Like with my newer yarn, these have all got a certain percentage of yak in them. So anyone who has ever attempted to dye with yak knows that there's actually yak going into something. It starts off with a certain amount of a beige base in it. So there's some colors you're never going to get. It makes it extra impressive when you see the bright colors like this, because they're in fact quite difficult to get when you start off with a darker baseline. So with each of these, I've actually done, when somebody has picked the yarn, their kit, they'll get 2 of one of these colors. Because I wanted to show all of them, there's 3 different patterns in the club, and I've done each of the patterns in a different colorway. Obviously, your club, you're going to just get one of the colors, so the patterns will all be within that color for you. So I'm just going to pull them over here. I've got my little stack of patterns to show you from the club. I got very into socks for this, because socks to me this time of year are a perfect project. They're small, they come along with you easily, they're not too warm, but you're still something that you're going to be able to wear through the spring. And you know, if you're very warm, maybe just the evenings in the summer, but you really can't go wrong with socks. And I've done 2 of the patterns are very similar. I'll tuck this under my arm here. In the bright one, they are cuff down socks. They're called Fuite, F-U-A-I-T-E. And I've done this stitch pattern. So it's very, very much of the season, a little lacy leaf pattern. The original one was fit quite closely together, but I didn't really the way it looked. It felt a little squished up, a little too lacy. So for socks, I wanted a bit more solid, but still wanted to keep a bit of lace. So I actually elongated it, really stretching out the leaves in between here to create quite a different looking pattern. This is the outside of the sock. So on this side it comes down here, and on the other side it comes down the other side. So when you wear it, you'll have a stitch pattern running up the outside in each side. On the heel, on the sole, there isn't any. And then when you get up to the cuff, you introduce another one on the back on each side, just for the leg up. And these are cuff down, and it's a traditional heel technique. So you've got a slip stitch heel, you turn the heel across here, pick up stitches across the gusset, and then as you work down here, you work those decreases. I know it's old-fashioned, traditional way of doing socks. I actually really love it because I've got a high instep, and this creates very nice gusset. See that little triangle in there? There's your heel gusset, and it allows it to fit really neatly, and it's very easy to go on and off your feet. And then you finish it off with decreases down here and a grafting of the final few stitches here. So this is the first one. This is the cuff down. Next one, hang on, I'll pop this over here. These ones are toe up, and I'm turning it like this so you can see the outside. So these ones are in the subtle colorway, and it starts at the toe, works up again with the stitch pattern along the outside and both sides, and you have a short row toe using yarn over short rows and a short row heel. So the toe is actually, I love doing this kind of toe. It's a lot of fun because you start off with a provisional cast on, and then you do short rows, yarn over short rows all the way to this point here. And then when you reach the narrowest point, you just start working one more stitch out each side so that it's like one little triangle on top, sitting on top of another one. Then once that's finished, you undo the provisional cast on, join them all together, and then you can work them from that point up. So you work up to here. Traditionally with short row heels, you don't have a gusset, but as I was saying, I don't do very well without a gusset, so I will always add a gusset into my sock. So you can see here what I've done is increases here, then you have your short row heel, which is worked the very same way as the toe, and then you have decreases up along here. So you get that little gusset triangle worked on each side of the short row heel. So it means that even if you have a high instep, you can still wear this style of sock. And on the inside again, for the leg, you've got the pattern going up here. So if you're part of the club and you've got all the videos, you'll have the provisional cast on will be detailed, and then I'm also going to give you a stretchy bind off suggestion, because that's really important with toe up socks, because it means that you can easily get it on and it'll stretch over your foot very easily. So that's really, really important. And there'll be kind of different tips on how you can size your socks, how to make sure that they're going to fit you well and adjust for your length. If you've got a larger foot size, and you tend to be, when you're going cuff down, it can be a little worrying, because in case you're worrying about running out of yarn. So toe up is actually ideal for that, because take your yarn to begin with, weigh it, wind it into 2 skeins and totally separate them out. And that means that you can actually use one all the way till you're finished if you want to add extra length to the leg, because you're going from the bottom up. And then once you reach a point where you're reaching the last little bit, you can do your edging and bind off. So you can make really, really full use of all of your yarn. So the last one, we're moving a little bit outside of socks here. And these, I'll put them on because it's easier to see fingerless mitts when they're being worn. These ones are the Fruita mitts. Let's see if I can pop them on. And these are done in the seasonal colorway. And they're super comfy. Anyone who has worn things with yak, you'll know it's really soft and smooth and silky. Really nice feel to it. So the front of it here, we've taken that stitch pattern. On the sock, there was just one panel down the side, whereas here I've added a second one in, but staggering it so that there's a lot more happening, because we're not going over like the leg and the foot of a sock. It's just down the front here. So you want to actually add a lot more interest in, so that it's much more obvious what the stitch pattern is and you get to really see it. With these, I've made them a bit longer. They're really, I suppose, more like gauntlets, because you start off with your edging and then it's worked straight up to this point. And then you've got your increases worked for the thumb, and the hand is worked along here, and you finish off with your thumb. Sometimes people talk about having the thumb too small, and one reason for that is because it's such a small circle. Often when people are working those, it tends to tighten up a lot. So if that actually happens for you, one of the things you can do is when you're picking up stitches here, pick up a few extra stitches. This is just a 2-stitch repeat here, so once you pick up a multiple of 2, you should have no problems. And it means that you're not going to have this too tight or a little bit uncomfortable, because in fact, because across here there was 1 stitch cast on for the hand, but when I was picking it up, I think I ended up adding in 3, so 1 for each of the gaps and 1 for the middle to give just a little bit of room. Hey Jenny, from Australia, you're not late at all, you're fine. I'm talking through the Seasons Club and talking about the patterns. So if anyone is on here and wants to know a little bit more about the patterns, let me know. If you've never heard of the Seasons Club before, it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's a club that is released seasonally. So there's a new yarn every season, and you pre-buy it and you get the yarn in the post, and then you get a set of patterns, workshops, a Zoom Live, and a bunch of extra goodies, which I'm going to reveal over here in a minute for this one. And the goodies are different each time, so it's local craft goodies, so it'll vary from, you know, between cards and teas, and we've got some soap this time that I'm going to show you. But there's so many local crafts people in Ireland that we're kind of spoiled for choice to find things to add into it, and just small little extras that are all crafted here in Ireland and just a little bit different, and we've tried to theme them so that they match with the season itself. So this year the soap has got a citrus scent to it, and our tea is a minty, kind of a minty fresh, I think is the name of it, if I remember correctly. So it's all light and bright, and the idea we're coming into spring and it's opening up really into a new season. So let me pull what we've got here. We've got Dalkey Handmade Soaps did the Mellow Yellow soap, and it actually smells really, really good. There's a few different herbs in it, or not herbs, oils in it, but the strongest smell that you get from it, it is super, super lemony. Oh, I've just had Laura remind me here, the tea, here we go. This is the tea, and this one is mint and freshness. Laura, jump in if I actually forget any of the other words, because it's nice having a visual reminder of what I'm talking about up here. She may not be in the picture, but she's still on the live, so she can tell me what's going on. The recipe we have is done by Evan O'Keefe, and we've got lemon poppy seed scones. So again, we've got citrus, we've got light, and I haven't tried those out yet, but I'm going to go ahead and make them before I do the Zoom launch party. So I'll be munching my way through the scones as I have a Zoom launch party while drinking my green tea. I should maybe have a green mint tea, might have been even more on theme, but our mint tea. And these are just gorgeous. These are hand printed cards that are done by Hearts of Ireland. And they were ones when we went to the showcase in Dublin. She had a stand fairly near the front, and in fact it was one of the first ones we went to, and when we spotted them we said we absolutely totally have to get one of these for our club, because we just really, really pretty. I'm trying to have a hard time to catch. Oh, there, that's better. It's printed in gold, and it's Hearts of Ireland. It's got a little bit about the designer and about the printing, but they're sealed up so that you get to use this as a gift to pass on to someone else. So it's like you get a gift and then you get to pass a gift on to someone else. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. So that is the reveal for this spring seasons. We will be having the launch party Sunday week. I think anyone who is who's part of the club, I've actually gone ahead and I've sent you out an invitation. Just make sure that you go and register, because it's all pre-registered to be able to actually join in with the launch party. We've also this week, Laura has finished off packing and sending out all of the Celtic Knits Clubs. Now it'll be a couple of weeks before we have the patterns up, because it's going to be in the middle of May, but they've all been sent out before she headed off on holidays to make sure that nobody got their yarn too late, to make sure that that everyone has it. But so it feels like today is a little bit of a lull, because all of the packs have gone out, and we're just gathering ourselves and trying to remember where we were at. So if there's anything you want to ask me, fire it up here. Again, same for the following week. If you're curious about anything or you'd like me to talk about it, just pop it up there. In terms of the yarn amounts, the 2 skeins of yarn, if you're doing smaller socks, you'll also be able to do a pair of these. If they're larger socks, it would just be 1 pair of socks and a pair of these. And if there's certain types of sock techniques that you haven't tried, I'd strongly suggest that you challenge yourself and you pick one of the sock construction types that you haven't done before, so that you can use the whole process as a means of just learning something new and experimenting. So I'll say goodbye and talk to you next Thursday.